Lovely. Lovely. Just waiting on Frankie to join. Hi. Hi to everyone who's joined so far. Oh, there he is. Good. Is it working? Did it do it? Yeah. Hey!
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, looking forward to another month of this. But it's all good. It's all good. How are you doing
Yeah,
with
well,
everything?
yeah, trying to contemplate the news myself. It's just
Mm,
yeah, it's very very disappointing, but
yeah, I know. It felt like everything was like slowly. It was picking up, wasn't it? We was dancing again. We was interacting again. I mean,
yeah,
hopefully it will just be a month. A month
yeah.
is fine. A month would be okay. Let's hope, but we don't need to chat about that too much. I think it's just depressing. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for joining my Insta live. Yeah, I'm really excited to have you on and to like learn more about you.
Yeah, thanks
Um,
for having
yeah, amazing. So we usually start off and we just ask a bit about, where you started, if you went to university or college yourself. I actually don't really know any of your origin, should we say, origin story. Um, so yeah, if you'd like to share with our viewers, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, sure. So I did attend university, but it was, I guess, the kind of correct name I would use for it would be more like conservatoire.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so it was a conservatoire dance university that was under the University of Kent. Uh,
Okay, cool.
I was attending my studies at London Contemporary Dance School. So,
Nice.
so I
Yeah.
was at the place which is in King's Cross in central London, and I attended there between 2010 and 2013. So I did my 3 years BA, and
Yeah.
I graduated from here, and then was considering to go on to doing an apprenticeship afterwards, but my plans changed, and then I ended up actually just wanting to kind of go fully into immersing myself as a freelance performer, freelance dance artist, and then very much so just went onwards and upwards from there.
Amazing. So did you do contemporary then? Your
Yeah,
studies were mainly contemporary dance.
so a lot of people who don't mostly know about sort of my background in dance is that I
Mm.
was first established as a contemporary dancer, like before any of the sort of street
Yeah.
dance came into my life. And yeah, whilst I was starting dance when I was really young, like because I'm originally from Bristol, there wasn't really a street dance sort of
Mm.
community, or there wasn't really any access to like proper professional foundation as such,
Yeah.
aside until when I started to go to Swindon YDA, which was a couple of years later. But the things that were definitely occurring and happening was contemporary and ballet. So I was
Mm.
doing this and some other classes as well. And then when I got to about the age of 12, this is when I then started to embark onto my training at Swindon Youth Dance Academy.
Amazing.
I was traveling each weekend from Bristol to Swindon to then be trained in contemporary and ballet further, pardon me. And then also I was attending on the hip hop dance program that they were providing as well, which is where they then started to do the pilot course of this street dance hip hop dance program, and I was
Yeah.
the first year to kind of test it.
Okay, cool.
And this was back in like I think like 2004, something.
Okay. So you was young. He was
Yeah,
young.
I was like I think 14,
Oh
something
wow.
like this. Yeah.
Yeah, so every weekend. How far is that? That must be quite far. Swindon's near Oxford, right? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, it's not too far from Oxford. So we, for the Bristol students, we were traveling on like a 40 to 45 minute train every weekend.
Okay, not
Um,
not horrendous, but
yeah, it's kind of like Swindon is like sort of based right in between sort of Bristol and London. So you've got Bristol, then you've got Swindon, and then you've got London, just on
right.
the like one straight line kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so you found that I guess there was nothing really happening for you in Bristol then. There was no
Yeah, I mean,
like
It's funny because Bristol's always been super immersed in music and art. Like it's
mm,
I mean, like people like Banksy, people like Massive Attack, people like Portishead, like big
yeah.
people and artists, you could say, have been established from this city. And it was just at that period of time, I guess there just wasn't, for dance especially, there wasn't the most sort of like available resources for dance artists. There was to a,
Yeah.
but then it got to a point where I guess like for myself and for probably some others as well, it gets to a point where it's like you want to kind of find more, you want to try and
Yeah.
pick more sort of opportunities, and it was kind of like capped at a certain point. So this is why myself and many others started to then go outside of Bristol, find more opportunity. But most definitely I would say is a city that still very much nurtures people that have those interests. And I think even now, like now that I'm like this pandemic sort of allowed me to be able to kind of situate myself between Bristol and London currently at the moment. So
Yeah.
I've been really trying to nurture and give back to the Bristol dance community and try to
Yeah.
establish and build with some of the new establishments which are based there right now. So it's
Yeah.
so right now Bristol dance is starting to go like really, really, really up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess there's people like yourself. Well, that's a really loud car. There's people like yourself coming from Bristol, giving back to your, home community. It's
Yeah,
amazing. Gives a
exactly.
chance for it to grow outside of London. I think is a major thing for dance as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
completely. I just think, yeah, like now, it's something that, yeah, over this period of time, over this past year, I've been really wanting to really see as more of this thing. Like I do want to give more back to my community, and I do want to, be that voice, and if I can, that representation of people like myself who
Yeah.
got into dance early but don't really know where to sort of like find their guidelines, if you want to say, or
Yeah.
find their roots, and then be able to, to give them that sort of um reassurance on like the choices that they can make for themselves in order to be able to progress and to go further into their professional
Yeah.
career.
Yeah. 100%. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great. Yeah, definitely. I think for myself as well, I'm not from London either. So I think until you come to London, you're like, whoa,
Yes.
there's
Yeah, yeah,
loads. And you're just like, unless you've got a really good dance school, I'm fortunate I came from a good place, but I also travel 45 minutes to go do my dance as well. So yeah, it's just really good to hear that that's happening for you.
yeah.
Awesome. So if you think back to like after you graduated, what was kind of your next step, should we say? So you finished, you've got your degree. How did you kind of start putting your feet out there?
Yeah, so I think initially there was the panic. It was a bit like,
Yeah,
God, we're going from full-time training to then absolutely just like zero, which was
yeah,
quite fearful and quite scary because I mean, I was quite adamant. I was pretty sure by this point, I was like, okay, I really want to dedicate my full time, full commitment to my art, to my craft, because this is like the reason why I've worked so hard these past 3 years, and obviously the years before that, to get to this point where I don't want to just fall back into the sort of regular working sort of scenario as such. And then I would say it took a good like 6 months for me to start getting sort of like the engine rolling, if you want to say.
yeah,
Um, and as soon as I graduated and left, I moved in with a friend who was helping me and assisting me with like being able to just kind of get my feet together and my own spot. And then like during that time as well, I got put on as an assistant for this show that was taking place in Charing Cross.
oh
So there
nice,
of like dance art exhibition that was taking place at the Strand, which is at the very top of like Charing Cross
yeah,
area. And it was this art exhibition that was put on by Robert Hilton and a few other artists, and he had asked me to be his assistant in just being
amazing,
direct and help on the nights that he wasn't available to be there. So
yeah,
I guess like the first sort of like professional job, well, it wasn't the first professional job, but it was like one of the jobs that I got essentially as soon as I finished out of school. And um, from this point, I was really lucky because I got to meet quite a few people on that job and started to
yeah,
network a bit. And I actually met one of my first agents through that, who ended up hiring me as one of their artists. And I think just like from that point, things just kind of just gradually and naturally picked up. So shortly after that, I then established my teaching position. So I first got my teaching position at Studio 68. So this
okay,
like
yeah,
the very beginning of 2004.
yeah. I think when was that? Sorry, 2014.
Yeah, 2014. So about 6 years ago. Um,
Yeah, didn't it? Wasn't it in the house? Used to have a slot, right, on Wednesday?
that's right.
Yeah.
I actually got my slot given to me via Kendra and Sheila. So Kendra
Okay.
Rosberg and Sheila were both teaching this house dance slot at six, and it was around the time Kendra was also touring a lot with Blaze, the
Yeah.
show, so she wasn't always available to be able to teach, and Sheila was also not too much available as well. So like I was assisting them a lot, and then both eventually ended up giving me the full slot. So I took that over and started to kind of like curate and teach on that. And then Clara was also teaching as well.
Yeah.
And then I taught at 68 for like a number of years. I think it was 4 years I taught at 68. And then from that point, that's when then I then moved over to Studio B.
Yeah.
And for the past 2 years was teaching at Studio B.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. So whenabouts did you kind of get involved in house dance and like culture? Because if you studied contemporary dance and you studied street dance styles before, when was that kind of like, how did that happen for you?
So like when I first ever got introduced to house dance was whilst I was on my training at YDA. So I was 16 when I first had my like first house dance experience, if you want to say. So I first learned house dance in a studio environment.
Nice.
Because I was too young to go to a club.
Yeah.
And then when I then moved to London, during my time studying at the place, it was around like the end of 2011, early 2012, which is when I then got into house dance.
Nice.
So this was around the time where Trocadero was open, and lots of people were practicing at Trocadero Plaza, which is between Piccadilly Circus train station and Trocadero Plaza sort of shopping distinct, if you want to say.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of dancers that were practicing there. I was really, I was more practicing popping at the time. Like popping was like my first introduction style, you want to say, to dance diaspora. And from that point, I then started to see a lot of house dancers practice in the space too. And it drew my curiosity in. Like I've always been a house music lover. Like I'm definitely a house music fan way before I was even involved in house dance movement. And then I was encouraged by the house dancers that were there to kind of invite me into the space to practice with them, to dance with them. And I felt at that time that was something that I really needed, in a sense of like, I felt there was more of a community from them and them getting to practice than there was, let's say, from me personally at the time, than from the popping community. So that was for me really encouraging and really like, oh, this is dope. Like, this is really nice. Also, at the time, Madame Jojo's was really happening too as well. It was really apparent that Madame Jojo's every Sunday, and Jojo's always was like an advocate for playing house music. So like for me to go from Trocadero to then just down the road in Soho, go to Madame Jojo's was just perfect for me. So I fell into it heavy via this way. And then that was it. I caught the bug. Like I caught the house bug. Started to really get involved more in the competitive dance scene. So I started to enter a lot of jams, a lot of battles. Started to kind of like gain some recognition quite quickly. And I think it was because also I felt like I was really finding myself. Like house music again was something I've always been really like brought up on. Like it's been really part of my sort of like childhood and also my experience growing up. My mum and my dad both come from house music backgrounds.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
We're avid like house music lovers and supporters of the music. And my dad was a DJ. And then lots of my friends as well. Like I think, I mean, you may be able to relate to this, but I think like from my generation or for our generation, I think like growing up, it's like garage, drum and bass, jungle, house music was very much apparent growing up as a teenager. Like these were like music genres I was really like listening to. So then, you know, for me, it started to create a lot more kind of closure into sort of like recognizing and understanding that, okay, now that I've discovered this movement that very complements this music, this for me sort of makes sense for me. Like it really makes sense. So then I think this really helped to kind of encourage and spur me on to get better at this style. And so I think, just through that, you know, excitement and encouragement, I started to, you know, establish myself quite quickly within the scene for this particular. Lots of people are like, oh, Frankie, we thought you was a popper and did this and that, and now you're doing house. And it's like, and I think, you know, as much as it's funny to hear people say that, at the same time, I was never looking at it as like, well, just because I pop doesn't mean I can't house. And
exactly.
People, you know, kind of narrowly minded sort of said like, well, if they're doing this, they can't see me doing something else. But you know, for me, I've always been like, dance is dance. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was very much like what really established me in my beginning days. And then from that point, started to kind of, again, network, started to travel more, started to get invited to teach,
Mm.
started winning a lot more sort of like international recognized jams and festivals. And then I think, just through, I've been very lucky and very blessed, like through that particular scenario, it's really helped me and put me onto many different things and platforms.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
would say very much still plays a huge role in also now, like what I do right now, like
Mm.
regards to also still being very much connected to my sort of contemporary dance background, as well as my house dance involved
Yeah.
as well, so right now I would say I'm an accumulated artist. Like I've never acknowledged myself as like just a house dancer,
Yeah.
because I don't just dance house.
No, of course. Yeah.
Love is my passion, it's my culture, but it's
Yeah.
not my only dance form of training. Or
No.
so very much so I've always just said, hey, I'm just a dancer, period.
Yeah.
Like, a
Yeah.
lot of my information is very much intertwined with my intention of how I use house music and house dance.
Mm.
So this is now like my language,
Yeah.
for a very much of a mix of different things and different experiences. But again, trying to still learn about the ownership of that. So I'm still trying to learn about how to own
Yeah.
my own. It's still in respect of the rules and the things that foundation sets for us, but at the same time still trying to be really authentic to myself
Mm.
as well.
Yeah. Well, 100%. I think you definitely do that. I don't think you need to worry like too much about I mean, it's great that you're working on it, but I can see that, like, within your dancing, you can see that you influence other styles. Like, I love it when you throw a few whacks in there as well.
Yeah.
That's always that's
Yeah.
always really great. So yeah, my next question, I don't know whether it's so necessary right now, but my next question was, I mean, a lot of people, I guess, if they don't know you or haven't been taught by you, or ever listen to speak, they might know you as a house dancer. You're a big advocate of the culture, and that's shown throughout your social media and your work.
Yeah.
Do you think that has helped you, as in like kept you booked like for different jobs, and it's helped you
Yeah.
like skyrocket your career further by being like an amazing advocate at the top of your game in a style?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question. I think it's for multiple reasons. I think definitely if people who do know me like will know me as coming across as quite a versatile artist. Like I
Yeah, of course.
define myself in many different types of movement, and I think definitely for versatility purposes and reasons, like people definitely will navigate themselves towards me for those
Mm.
skills. But at the same time, I think it's not just my skill level that also makes me very susceptible or
Mm.
kind of attractive for like work as such, but also I would like to think that I'm quite open-minded when it comes to
100%.
work as well. And I'm always down for a challenge. I'm always down to like try something new as well. And
Yeah.
I think with that sort of open-mindedness, that's really also assisted and really helped in being able to be involved more in different types of professional work, and
Mm.
also just general professional etiquette. I think
Yeah.
something like this isn't really talked about a lot, especially
Yeah.
like dance scene. I think like there's a very sort of like undermining, taken for granted sort of like mindset when it comes to being professional and like
Mm.
and
Mm.
taking the work that they're given or the opportunities that they're given seriously, just because
Yeah.
if you're a street dancer, you're not professional supposedly,
Mm.
or you
Yeah.
come from the streets. And it's just like this kind of rubbish stigma that street dancers can get. And actually,
Yeah.
there's amazing super professional artists that come out.
100%.
Not all
Yeah.
of them, of course, but and again, that happens across the board.
Yeah.
Dance alone is not the only type of dance form that doesn't have non-professionalism. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But because again, we come from something which isn't as recognized as something as like high established or high within society, etc., that
Yeah.
we don't know how to be professionals. And it's just like
I know.
it's trying to eradicate that sort of mentality to
Yeah.
let people know that actually this is serious. This has always been serious. There's serious professionals who are doing so much, and we are to be taken seriously.
Yeah. Definitely.
And
Um.
yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So coming off of that, kind of makes me think how yeah, because I think about that a lot. It's like almost getting hip hop and street dance styles to be seen on the same level as contemporary and ballet, you know. So what do you think is, I'm trying to think how to word this, what do you think is the main reason why maybe hip hop dancers aren't seen as professional, even though there's plenty of hip hop and street dancers that are really professional because they're out there, but maybe why do you think the main reason that could be? Why not?
It comes from multiple reasons. I think most generally, like statistically, street dance involves people that come from underprivileged backgrounds, mostly, or people that don't have the access to as much privileges compared to maybe, let's say, if we compare it to contemporary and ballet.
Yeah.
And so society looks down on that, especially the people in, you know, and again, our government, as we all know, doesn't support the hard working class people that are trying to get by and do their thing and push boundaries, yet those boundaries aren't still recognized. And it's within this context that, again, I don't think we're still yet to be taken seriously. And again, also there's a misconstruction about what hip hop or street dance culture or street culture in general is recognized as, because generally from the public perspective, hip hop and street tends to get associated with like sex, drugs, alcohol, you know, this whole like lifestyle. And again, I do blame the commercialism for that in regards to how it's looked at, because again, if you think and take reference to, like, for example, the music that comes out nowadays, and we take reference to sort of like the music videos that are associated with that, in terms of what supposedly people think are hip hop, when there's a lot of what's being shown on these videos and things like that that has nothing to do with hip hop at all. The morality behind what hip hop represents or street culture represents, and club culture, in fact, as well. And it's just like, it's within this that creates the misconstruction and the misunderstanding. And because that is a mass, because that is a majority, there isn't going to be a majority support for those things as well. Or sorry, a support from that majority to the community that we come from. And so this is why it's still till today really struggles to be recognized or be given that sort of opportunity that the forms of movement or art is used for. You know?
No, amazing. I mean, it's not amazing, but no, I completely agree. Like,
for real, because again, it's just, I mean, even in this whole climate right now, even with the Black Lives Matter or Black Liberation Movement, should I say, and also just with like everything that's happening politically as well, it's just like, this is a time where things are being recognized as like, if it wasn't for hip hop, if it wasn't for street, if it wasn't for club, if it wasn't for the entertainment industry, if it wasn't for all of these things which we're very much a part of, this world or this society would be in a much more darker place than I think I imagine it to be. Because we're providers, you know, we're providers for culture, we're providers for the way that people go about their day-to-day business, we're providers for entertainment, we are just providers, you know, like, period. And in that still doesn't yet get seen as being important, you know, even in the contradictoriness of like the services that are announced as non-essential. Supposedly dance is not or like, you know, and it's just like, it's crazy. Again, like, I'm such an advocate for this. It's like, I'm tired of hearing people say that dance is not essential.
I know.
I'm tired of hearing it, and it's just like crazy. And I have personal experiences with that. I have family members that don't think dance is essential. You know, and that hurts. You know, that hurts. I'm there, you know, trying to wager and to war at people, be like, can't deem what something is if you don't have any understanding of it because you're involved in it. And it comes out of ignorance. It's ignorance. And just about, you know, I'm not gonna start bashing people on the head, being like, okay, you have to take more importance in this, but it's about respect. It's about respect. People work hard for this, you know, people invest in this, people are paying out of their own pockets for this, and it would just be nice to know that people recognize that this is happening and that it's people's lives, it's protecting people, it's supporting people, and
100%. I think
more of that.
I mean, without the arts, period, it would just be a boring world, wouldn't it? It would just be such a boring world.
Absolutely.
The amount of like joy and life that the arts bring is just it's essential. Like joy is essential because otherwise, you
Yeah,
know, what's life?
that's it.
Um,
That's it.
yeah, but I feel like we're going on a topic now, so I could keep rolling with it. What do you? I'm enjoying it. It's really insightful. What do you think then? How do you think maybe we can start to change that? How can we start to get people without being like, "Hey, notice me, woo!" Like we're amazing. Just realize that because people, I guess, that are uneducated in the art form, they might see it as just this 2D thing. Okay, cool, he can spin on his head. That was fun for like
Mm.
5 seconds. I don't know. I don't know how other people, non-dancers, view
Yeah,
it.
I
But
mean,
like, how can we broach that? I mean, within
yeah,
the arts as well. Like, how can we broach people that are higher up within the arts
I think
to
it's,
change
I mean,
this?
yeah, it's easier said than done, obviously, as we
Yeah,
both.
of course. Yeah,
But I think, like small things can go such a long way in
yeah,
like the people, like the leaders of our community, like when they are involved in things which do affect us politically and also like
mm-hmm.
societally, if you want to say, even just like things like your local MPs, like the people that you might, look into to see who has their hands in
Yeah,
the arts or has their things in association to what we do to support.
mm-hmm.
And I say that critically to myself because
Yeah,
I'm like the least political person like in
oh,
the world, I feel
yeah,
sometimes.
same.
And
Yeah,
and I should be more involved in like seeing and
mm,
what is happening around me because it does affect me. It does affect
yeah,
us. And I should be more conscious about those things. And I think like, if us as a whole can do more of that, to be more on top of like the consciousness around us of like the people who do have control over the things that we are doing and are involved in, and to see
mm-hmm.
with that, it would go a long way. And I think
Yeah,
also, to keep voicing and to keep producing and to keep like if we stop, it
yeah,
stops
yeah,
together
exactly. Yeah,
in what we're doing. Like
yeah,
as much as it might not feel like we're being rewarded for it, it might not feel like we're actually gaining something from it, like materialistically or like rewarding wise, but
mm,
does still go a long way. Still,
yeah,
it is the reason why it still floats. It is still the reason
yeah,
we still do have some of the things that we do have, and if we keep doing that, yes, it will go a long way. And I think as well, like we have to keep. We unfortunately we are the ones that have to keep putting in the hard work to
yeah,
change the mindset and the way that people view us. It
yeah.
shouldn't be us that has to change. It should be
No,
them, to be honest. But
yeah,
at times, it is difficult to say, but like we have to be the ones to like, yeah, to have to go the extraness or have to do the more in order to
mm,
make that people just blink and keep their eyes open a little bit longer than they usually would.
yeah. No, 100%.
That and to not give people another reason to bash us on the head for being
Mm,
delinquents that aren't doing any good for society or aren't doing anything supportive or aren't doing anything to help the economy or all this rubbish
mm,
that again the arts is fully always blamed for. The arts
I
is
know.
looked at as being important. It's never looked at being sufficient for the community, and it's just
Yeah,
doing bits that do keep doing the bits that we're doing so that again
yeah,
that we're consistent and that we're staying
yeah,
going nowhere.
yeah. And I think definitely in this world we're living in now, we just got to keep pushing. We got to make these things happen, make ourselves known, and I think it will feel like. I mean, sometimes it does feel a little bit like we're just picking away, just slowly, slowly,
A little bit,
eventually, little like whatever they're called,
yeah,
little chisel, and just like slowly getting there. But we're gonna break through it, and
yeah,
I think prior to lockdown that was happening, it's been
yeah.
happening, and it will keep happening. But yeah, no, great. I'm gonna move on unless there's something else you want to
No,
add to
that's
that. No. Okay, cool. So my like last question that I always ask is if someone could have came up to you at the finish at your end of graduation slash the start of the career and said this is the one thing you need to know going into your career, what advice would you give?
oh, that's
No.
a very, very good question. Um, I would say, I mean, it's hard to really pinpoint. I would say right now, one of the things that like kind of comes to mind is not that it was really something that I, let's say, would regret or like have like from my own experience when I first stepped in, but just something I think generally that has me thinking about like sort of like the emerging artists that are coming out now.
Yeah.
I would suggest like to not overstep or overlook your opportunities because you don't feel like they kind of fall in line with your exact vision or your exact thing that you think you want to be a part of or to do. Because
Yeah.
the problem is like, and I take this as an example of like, for example, when I was in school, like when I was at uni, sorry, and also like stepping in immediately into sort of like the big wide world as working as a freelance artist, was that there was a lot of mentality in school where people were already aiming for like the top, assuming that it was going to happen straight away as soon as they left their establishment.
Yeah.
The moment the mark didn't hit that, everything just crumbled for a lot of people. You know, I saw people crumble like around me because they put that much expectation and pressure on hitting that mark or hitting that job, that audition that they wanted is immediately after they studied, not realizing that most of the people that they watch and are inspired by, it takes years to get to those places. It's not just
100%.
come straight from school. Some people are very blessed and very lucky to sometimes have those opportunities to like march straight away, which they get, you know, that does happen. But at the same time, for a majority, it doesn't. It takes a bit more time, a little bit more diversion, a bit more of a different route before they get to the places that they are like, okay, this is what I, in the same way it was for me, you know, like I would say like I've done so many different avenues of work and different types of things that, and even if I look back at it now, there was a lot of jobs that I was like, I don't know how relevant that was for me, or I don't know how that actually has anything to do with sort of like the vision of the things I want to do. But at the same time, it plays such a huge part now actually of the things that I'm doing now, because I look at it as like these all play towards the makeup of like where I am now, and also the way I in myself now and the way that I represent myself now. And you know, that goes a long way, and I don't regret having those experiences of doing jobs or being involved in things that didn't or you know, things that did pay or things like this. Like I never turned my nose down because I didn't think it was like worthy of my time, or like or you know, like it was, because I do see that a lot. I do see a lot of like, emerging artists who are very picky and are very not to say like, because again, I don't want people to confuse this as like you should be taking every single job given to you, because also there's also supposed opportunities out there that do waste a lot of people's time, unfortunately, and also don't work out to be the best for, you know, they can actually mishandle a lot of new artists, and it's fair to, you know, those artists who put in a lot of work and time and aren't rewarded for it, you know. But so I would say definitely be careful with that, but just at the same time not to be too snobby, just because like you also want to make yourself applicable to as many things and as many opportunities as possible, because later down the line, this is when you are granted with the luxury of being able to really dedicate your time and efforts into things that then you do really want to be involved in and actually create for yourself, you know. And I never had anyone really tell me that, but I was quite, I would say I was quite clued up to kind of start realizing that quite quickly, like that, you know, I realized in my own actions, I think it benefited me being able to kind of be involved in multiple things and not assuming like, oh, because I'm doing house or I'm doing this, I can only just do things that have to do with house. And at the same time, you're going to really limit yourself. Like, but again, you know, like just if I had someone really tell me that at the beginning, I think for sure it would have been like a massive booster, you know. And if here can take that as advice or take that, you know, to their own careers, and that's fantastic. You know, like just, and again, I think it's about being honest. It's about being honest too. I think even though like when you're an emerging artist, it can be really exciting just to get any old opportunity come through to you, you know, it is about also listening to yourself about like, you know, does this feed you in a positive way, or if you're feeling this, is it, you know, is it that important then to do it? And just again, self values is really important in working as an artist, you know, because you don't want to jump, you know, you can get really excited jumping into an industry which is like, again, your dream, it's a thing you want to be involved in, it's a career, and then you don't want to get that shattered by a bad experience or making the wrong choice for yourself morally, because you know, decided to think about money or another reason, which then overlooks or oversees then the value of your art or the value of the reason why you dance. So, just to make those important choices, I think is going to go a long way.
Yeah, no, amazing advice. Definitely. I think when you're at uni, sometimes you can be so set at, I
Yeah.
mean, for myself anyway, getting that grade, getting
Yeah.
that degree, and then realize, and then I was like, yeah, when I finish, I'm just going to get a job and it's going to be great. And that's just going to happen for me like that. So
Yep.
I think realizing that that's the end of one journey and then you're starting your next journey is like
Absolutely.
spot on advice, for especially for graduates now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think it's about, to encourage graduates or undergraduates to realize that if the job ain't coming in the first week of as soon as you leave, don't panic.
yeah, exactly.
Because it doesn't do any good to anyone, and it's just like it's important to know that the work is only beginning again once you finish school. Like
Yeah,
school, like the pre-work. School is pre-work.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
work begins as soon as you leave. It's not like, oh, you've done all the work and now you're going to be rewarded with your dream job. It don't work
No,
like that,
no,
for
not
some
at all.
people anyway. And it's just like, yeah, to understand that the work begins as soon as you leave that door and you step into the world, and then you start to make something for yourself. Then you
Yeah,
actually really work on things that you want to do, and direct it into the ways that you want to direct it.
yeah. Amazing. That's all the questions I have. But does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask Frankie at all? I mean, I have a little scroll. I think we've got quite a lot of waves, just a lot of waves. But if anyone has a question, is there anything you're working on at the moment that you want to share with
Um,
anyone?
that's a good question. I mean, right now it's super limited with, with happening, as we all know. But I would say at the moment, well, with In the House, so In the House UK is the company that I'm a part of. And at the moment, we're still working on our mentorship program. So for anyone who doesn't know about what we do, In the House UK has a mentorship program where we focus on working with a group of mentees over a year period of time, which is focused on trying to make them work on things that can help to achieve their directions, their goals, their ambitions, and things that are mostly associated with, not just associated with house and hip hop, but this is obviously the things that we preserve and educate in. So like we're really working a lot in being able to focus on those particular things, but also very much it's very open to anyone to want to be a part of. So this is something like later in the future, after sort of this pandemic starts to clear itself up, something that like later in the future will be opening up again. So for interest, if people have an interest, they can holler at me or they can message In the House UK directly to ask more information on that. So that's something we're a part of at the moment. And then I think at the moment as well, I'm currently teaching classes in Bristol at the moment every day. But I mean, as of next week, I'm not too sure how that's going to be going. But at the moment it's still happening. And then I'm also working with the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama in London at the moment. So I'm working with their undergraduate students in creating and educating them in house dance culture, and also working on putting together some small pieces with the students to kind of help to integrate their drama and acting abilities with freestyle dance, and seeing how that freestyle dance can assist, or the improv of freestyle dance can assist in their acting abilities and training. So like a really cool project that I've been working on, doing it for the past 2 weeks.
Nice.
But I have them until the end of the year. So yeah, hopefully you'll see a bit more of what we've been creating with them. But that
sounds great. And I'll tag Into House in this video afterwards, and if people want to follow through. But yeah, that's all we have time for, I guess. Just a little notice to say that I'm currently looking for beta users for my Dance Integrated platform. So I'm just got a private Facebook group going. I'm just going to be hitting you loads of free stuff. So I'm looking for all the advice. So I'd like to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like polish the product that we hopefully will roll out and help support dance graduates and dancers in general. So if you're interested in that, just send me a message. I'll be getting around to people, but it'd be great to have you on the community. But yes, thank you very much.
Thank you
for taking the live with me, Frankie. It was really, really great. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.